Hi to everyone who's joining us. We'll get started in just a few minutes. It'll take a few moments for everyone to enter into the room, of course. In the meantime, I'd love it if you could share in the chat where you're calling in from and if you have plans to go to Mexico City or are curious about traveling to Mexico City. Hello to everyone who is joining us. As I was mentioned, we will get started in just a few moments. I see Lillian has a hand raised. You can put into the chat if you have a question now, Lillian. And while everyone else is joining us, as I mentioned, I'd love to have everyone share in the chat where they're calling in from, if they have plans to travel to Mexico City or are just considering potentially traveling to Mexico City. Oh, I'm so sorry. Lillian says that the chat is not open. Thank you for letting me know. That should be fixed now. Appreciate that. It should be open now. So everyone, I'd love to hear where you're calling in from. If you have a specific date that you're traveling to Mexico City, or if you're just curious about traveling to Mexico City. I'm actually headed to Mexico City in just about a week now. It's one of my favorite places to travel in the whole world. I think Samantha can agree that it's a really wonderful place. Samantha, do you want to share what you love most about Mexico City?
Yes, of course. Hello, nice to meet you, everyone. I'm Samantha, the community manager in Mexico City. I have the two properties, and yeah, I can say this is not my home city, but I've been 5 years living in here, and I completely love it. It's a beautiful city, and my favorite part is like the diversity. You can meet different kind of people, places, so it's really great.
Yeah, I agree. The diversity of Mexico City is one of the best parts. Personally, I really love the food, and I think that the diversity of Mexico City contributes to that because not only do you have incredible Mexican food, but you also have incredible international food as well. So that is one of my favorite parts about traveling in Mexico City. And we'll talk in a little bit later about some restaurants that we recommend trying. So thank you to everyone who is sharing in the chat where they're calling in from and if they have specific plans to travel to Mexico City or they're just curious about traveling to Mexico City. Rebecca heading to Mexico City 2 weeks at the end of March. Awesome. Doug from Salem in Mexico City mid-April for about 10 days, staying at Colonia San Miguel. I've stayed in that neighborhood before and I absolutely love that neighborhood. It's so close to the park, which is perfect for running or walking or just getting some fresh air in the city. I think you'll love it. We have some folks here from Canada thinking about going to Mexico City in a couple weeks and planning to travel in the spring. Awesome. So I'm so happy to hear that everyone is interested in traveling to Mexico City. Like I said earlier, it is absolutely one of my favorite places in the world to travel. And I'm heading there actually next week, and I'm really, really excited to be there. So just a few housekeeping things before we get started. Of course, the chat will be open, and we'll also have the Q&A box open as well to submit any questions. We'll save plenty of time at the end for question and answer with Samantha, who is the Outsite Community Manager in Mexico City. I am Lindsay. I am head of community and events at Outsite. Outsite is a global co-living company that offers co-living spaces, community events, perks for digital nomads, remote workers, entrepreneurs, and creatives. We have 2 locations in Mexico City, and we'll share a little bit more about those in a bit, including video tours. But first, we have some really good information about traveling to Mexico City, what you can expect for traveling in Mexico City, about the region, about best times of year to go, how to get around, things to do, how to eat and drink like locals, some tips, and of course, like I mentioned, the overview of both Outsite locations in Mexico City. There are 2 of them, one in Roma Sur and one in Colonia San Miguel, and we will have a video tour of each of those at the end. So thanks for everyone who shared in the chat, and I guess we will get started. So first of all, welcome to our event. Welcome to Mexico City. I love traveling in Mexico City because of the beautiful architecture and amazing food and friendly people. And Samantha, who is our local community manager in Mexico City. Samantha, what's your favorite part about Mexico City for those who did not hear your answer before?
Uh, Talking about areas, I love the downtown. It's beautiful. We have this French architecture combined with the Spanish. So if you walk around, you can see beautiful buildings, and also, as you say, like the food there is amazing. You can find from street food to high cuisine, like big restaurants. So I think it's one of my favorite areas, downtown, and also Coyoacán. We're gonna talk later about it, but yeah, those areas are my favorites for sure.
Excellent. And here, this is Bellas Artes, which is one of the most beautiful buildings in Mexico City. If you haven't had a chance to go visit it, make sure that you spend some time, even just sitting outside of this beautiful building on your upcoming trip to Mexico City. So first, let's get to know Mexico City. Mexico City is the capital of Mexico, and it is one of the largest and most populous cities in the world. It is huge. There is no shortage of things to do. There is tons of traffic, as you would have in any city. It's quite dense. It's also very, very beautiful. It was founded as Tenochtitlan, which was the capital of the Aztec Empire, and it also had witnessed key events in the Mexican War of Independence. And it also has wonderful historic sites such as the Zocalo, the cathedral, and the National Palace. It is surrounded by mountains and volcanoes, and it is located at an altitude of 2,200-ish meters, which is about 7,300 feet above sea level. So it is at quite a high altitude, but that actually gives it a really nice climate for most of the year. So when to visit Mexico City, for me, and I think Samantha would agree with me, Mexico City is a year-round destination. It has a pretty temperate climate for most of the year. The winters are dry and mild, and the summers are warm. And it does rain a bit more in the summer, but it's usually one of those kind of um, like passing storms. It might rain for an hour and then be nice the rest of the day. Of course, if you're there in the summer, you should bring some rain gear, but that should not stop you from visiting Mexico City during those months. It's still a wonderful time to visit, especially because there are so many restaurants and museums and cafes and things to do inside. And I saw Doug in the chat says the altitude will make running a challenge for me. Yes, I'm a bit of a runner too, and it is it sure you do feel it when you're exercising or running. So it is important to give yourself time to acclimatize a little bit, but also after after training at altitude, once you head back to sea level, your lungs will feel so strong. So Doug, I think you'll really enjoy running in Mexico City. And then also, I'll let Samantha talk about some of the cultural celebrations that happen in Mexico City that are also a really nice time to visit. For example, Dia de los Muertos, which happens in late October and early November. Samantha, can you tell us a little bit about what happens during Dia de los Muertos?
Yeah, of course. So in Mexico, we celebrate the 1st of November, Dia de Muertos. And it's very, actually, especially in Oaxaca city, there's like a special celebration on the, yeah, with the dead people. Like we put a lot of cempasúchil flowers and candles, and during the night we have some celebrations. So it's like very popular to go there. Also in Mexico City, we have a huge parade in Zocalo with which is very beautiful. It's from the morning till 2 p.m. or something, and you just stand there and you see like the whole event, and it's a very nice season to come. And you can see also like the decoration around the restaurants, the parks. So it's one of my favorite seasons for sure. But as you said, Mexico City is like a year destination. Like whenever you come, it's amazing.
Yeah, I totally agree. I spent Dia de los Muertos in Mexico City last year, and it is It's a very interesting cultural celebration, and also the city is just quite a buzz with a lot of activity. It's really wonderful. I highly recommend booking around that time, but definitely book in advance if that is a time that you would like to visit Mexico City. So how to get to Mexico City? Mexico City has a large international airport that's a major hub, and it has many international flights from around the world. So you likely won't have too much trouble finding a good flight into Mexico City. Once you get to the airport, you have a couple different ways to get to the city center, and I'll let Samantha talk a little bit about those.
Yes, so the airport here is huge, and it's very easy to move from there. We have different ways of transport. The principal one, it's Uber. It's super safe and not so expensive. The trip is about, if without traffic, normally you can do like 20 minutes to the where the two outside properties are. But if you take, for example, the metro, so we have three options: the Uber, metro. The metro is just 6 pesos, and it's a trip for about half an hour. Also very easy to get because our properties are close to stop underground stops, so it's also very easy to move. And the other one, the third one, is the bus. We have a bus station at the airport, and we have so many different companies, and the cost is less than 100 pesos. And yeah, the trip is also for a half an hour without traffic. But I recommend you to always save 1 hour for that, because you never know how it's gonna be the traffic. So normally it's 20 minutes, but take an hour for that.
Yes, it's really easy to get around Mexico City. We'll talk a little bit more about that in the next slide or two. When you arrive at the airport, of course, you can take the bus or metro. I always recommend taking an Uber because it is not very expensive, and if you have your bags with you, it's probably the easiest way. But there are multiple options to get from the city center from the airport to the city center, or to either Outsite Mexico City location. Next, we'll talk about how to get around Mexico City. Both neighborhoods in which Outsite are located, Colonia, San Miguel, and Roma Sur, are super, super walkable. You can get most places that you would want to go by foot. But if you wanted to go somewhere a little bit farther outside of either of those neighborhoods, you have a couple options, and I'll let Samantha talk about those.
Yeah, as you say, both neighborhoods are super walkable. I always walk around, and it's also very safe and very beautiful to just walk around. But if you want to do like long distance, yeah, I recommend the metro, that we also have, as I told you, close stops from the properties. And yeah, the EcoBici, I always say, is my best friend. You just paid like 100 pesos for 1 week, and you can use it super easily. You just need to download the app, and moving around the city, it's very safe and very easy. So normally I walk or I use the EcoBici, but the metro is also super practical.
Rebecca asked which stations are each location closest to for the metro?
From Roma Sur is Patriotismo, and I need to check the right one for the San Miguel Chapultepec, but it's actually pretty close from that one. So both properties are like 20 minutes walking from each other. So maybe they share the same stop, underground stop. But I'll have a look to just confirm it.
Mm-hmm. I can't remember the exact name, but I know that when I stayed at Outsite Colonia San Miguel, there was a very close metro stop as well. It was probably like maybe a 10-minute walk from the Outsite.
Yeah.
And then, so you've gotten to Mexico City, you've got to your accommodations, you've checked in. What's next but to explore Mexico City? Like we mentioned earlier, Mexico City is huge. There are so many different neighborhoods that have so many interesting things to offer. But these are some of the most popular ones. And Samantha, can you tell us a little bit about each one?
Yeah, of course. So yeah, I can start with Centro Histórico. It's downtown. It's where the Zócalo is, and yeah, it's beautiful to just walk around. There's a lot of free walking tours. You can explore the area. There's so much history, museums, restaurants, churches, so you can spend like a whole day there if you really want to go into the Mexican history, no? And then we have Juarez is next to that one, to Centro Histórico, and it's a small neighborhood with beautiful architecture, like very French style also, and you can find there like small coffees or local design shops, and yeah, just walking around, it's beautiful too. And Roma Condesa are like the trendiest now. And everything is happening around there. So you can find parks, restaurants, bars, coffees, shops, like everything you can imagine. And those areas are beautiful. Like there's people all over around the world. Everything is walking distance. And yeah, it's just, I mean, everything is very beautiful just to walk around. And San Miguel Chapultepec is where our outside, one of our outside properties, the house, and actually is one of my favorite neighborhoods too. It's more quiet, I will say, like it's super close from everything, but a bit out, you know, so it's pretty good. And yeah, I would say it's more quiet, more family, artsy. So we have like a lot of local artists that went to live there, and they put their studios, galleries. So it's coming a bit artsy, but also stay like the familiar vibe. And yeah, it's just very beautiful. You see like big houses and a lot of trees, also very beautiful and very close from Chapultepec Park. That's also super nice.
Yes, that's one of my favorite things about the San Miguel Chapultepec location, which of course we'll talk about a little bit more, but I just love it so much that I can't resist. It's a short walk to the park, which is really nice to be able to get into nature, and it's also a short walk to Roma and Condesa, so you can go to all of the trendy bars and nightlife spots and coffee shops, and still also walk to the park for your, daily nature dose as well.
Yeah.
There is no shortage of things to do in Mexico City. You could stay for months and not do everything. But here we have some of our favorite things to do in Mexico City to get you started on making plans. But of course, Samantha will talk about each one of these. But of course, there's many other things beyond just these main ones here. And Samantha will be happy to offer any suggestions if you have a specific interest that you want to do. But these, I would say, are the six things you should definitely have on your list.
Yeah, these are like the main attraction destination. So you cannot miss these ones, but yeah, there's much more to do. About the Centro Histórico, yeah, I already told you, you can do a free walking tour or just walk around by yourself and you'll find like, especially the architecture there is very nice and the museums. So you can spend a whole day over there. The Parque Chapultepec is for sure my favorite in the country. It's huge. It has, I believe, 5 sections and each one very beautiful. So you have also museums, restaurants, and just to walk around. It's beautiful if you want to do a picnic or a yoga class or whatever. It's perfect for that. Coyoacan is the neighborhood that I told you at the beginning. It's also one of my favorites. It's just like 20 minutes driving from our properties, and it's beautiful. You feel that you are in another small town from Mexico. It looks very colorful, very Mexican. You have a nice market, the Frida Kahlo house, also very nice restaurant. So to spend a Sunday there, it's beautiful. I recommend it. And Xochimilco, yeah, is a great experience just to rent this, how do you call them?
A boat.
Yeah, the boat. And yeah, it's like 1 hour for 1 hour the trip, and it's very fun to go with friends and to have some drinks over there, and they give you like a small tour around the river, so it's very fun too. And Teotihuacan is for sure a must if you are coming here. It's not too far. I can recommend also some tours that they come to pick you up, and then you go together to have the tour in Teotihuacan. That takes at least half a day or almost a whole day, but it's very beautiful to do it. And yeah, the markets, we have so many markets in the city. You need to have a breakfast there because it's like one of the best foods ever. And if also you want to take a souvenir or something, it's beautiful. Then you can feel like the Mexican vibe over there. And yeah, we have so many. Actually, close to Roma Sur, we have one of the biggest one. It's called Medellin. And yeah, you can find anything you may need.
Thank you so much. Yeah, there's so many awesome things to do, but definitely put these 6 on your list for your first visit to Mexico City. And as we've talked about before, for me, one of the highlights of Mexico City is the food. Not only is there incredible Mexican food from other regions in Mexico, but there's an incredible international food scene as well. And you can have meals ranging from just a few dollars on the street up to really high-end restaurants. So here are some of our favorites. Samantha, do you want to tell us about them?
Yeah, of course. These ones are one of my favorites for sure. For the casual options, Choza, it's a super nice place. It's like an speakeasy restaurant. It's located in Roma Norte, and it's open only Saturdays and Sundays. You cannot do a reservation, so you just need to go and do the line. But the food there is amazing. It's like a fusion between Asia and Mexico, and the place is just super cool. So I really recommend it. Pizzas Felix. Actually, we went yesterday for our Valentine's dinner with the Roma Sur outsiders. And yeah, it's like a chill pizzeria, but super nice, and one of the best pizzas also. That one is in Roma Norte also. And Covadonga is like a Mexican cantina. So if you want to experience that, I recommend it. It's super fun. You can play with the domino and have a margarita, and it's super fun to do it. And also like the space is very nice to see it. Also in Roma Norte. And yeah, if you want to treat yourself with a little bit more fancy thing, Taberna for sure is one of the best options. That one is in Juarez, is next to General Prime. So it's like an old house that normally they have events. For example, last week for Art Week, they had like a huge exposition over there. And next to it is Taberna, and it's like also like an old house. The food is beautiful, a bit expensive, but if you are able to do it, for sure, you have to go there. Sarde and Expendio de Maíz are also one of my favorites. The food is amazing. Seriously, one of the best that I ever tried. And Also no reservation, so you just need to go and put your name on the list, and that's it. And yeah, for the coffees, these options are really nice because it's like also a co-working cafe. So if you just sit there, you can meet people that is like in your same interest, working. The spaces are beautiful, the coffees are great, not too expensive. So these ones are really good options, and you can find everywhere. So for example, Blend Station and Boycott Cafe, there's in Roma, Condesa, Juarez, everywhere. So really great options also.
And we also didn't put on here, but Mexico City has an amazing street food culture too. My recommendation is if you walk by a street food stall that has a line, that means that you should get in it too. Anytime there's a line for street food, it usually means that it's really good, and it's quite the experience to eat such a delicious meal on the street. One of my favorite things to do when I'm in Mexico City.
Yeah, for sure. You need to try tacos, street tacos.
Mhm. All right. And here we just have a few tips, some things that you should know before you go to Mexico City. The first is tipping. Restaurants that have table service, 10 to 15% is customary, but you should check to see if it's already included in a service charge. Most hotels, restaurants, and larger businesses will accept major credit cards. However, I definitely recommend carrying a little bit of cash on you for smaller establishments, street food, local vendors, and that type of thing. And finally, many people ask about English being spoken. Spanish is the main language of Mexico, but English is widely spoken in tourist areas. However, knowing a few basic phrases can really go a long way. So to say hello, you would say
Hola.
and
Hola.
please would hola, and please would be,
Por favor.
and then thank you.
Gracias.
Of course, those are just a few to get you started. But in my experience, people are usually very friendly and willing to help, even if they don't speak English. They're willing to kind of help you get by with charades and whatnot. But it is a nice idea to just practice a few simple phrases before you go, just to make an effort. All right, so where to stay in Mexico City? Of course, we recommend staying outside. We have two locations, as we've mentioned before, San Miguel Chapultepec and Roma Sur. For those of you who are not familiar with Outsite, Outsite is a trusted platform of co-living spaces, community perks, events designed for remote workers, creatives, freelancers, entrepreneurs, and the like. And the spaces, they always include solid, reliable Wi-Fi for working, work-friendly spaces, a well-equipped kitchen. They are professionally cleaned, washer and dryer, and of course, the local community manager. Samantha is Outsite Mexico City's local community manager, and she's available by WhatsApp if you have any questions about space or need tips and tricks for traveling, or if you have a particular interest. Having a community manager is such a nice resource because they are local and they know the city or the location really, really well. The community managers also regularly put together things to do for people staying in the house. So one of my favorite parts about Outsite is you do have your own room and you have your own space, and it's calm and quiet for working, so you can get your work done. But when you're not working, there's a group of people who are also working and traveling, and a local community manager. And I've met some lifelong friends in Outsite, and I love going out with the community managers and really getting to know the location from the perspective of a local person. For those of you who are Outsite members, you can message Samantha on the hub if you have any questions about Mexico City or the locations. And once you have a booking, you'll be able to join the local WhatsApp group, which is meant for people who are staying to communicate with one another, to make plans or to ask questions, or share about things that they have done or would like to do in the city. So now we're going to talk a little bit more about each location. Well, first, I wanted to mention that Outsite has a huge network of co-living spaces, not only in Mexico. We have about 50 locations worldwide, including the US, Latin America, Africa, and Asia. And it's wonderful to be able to go to a city and know that there's a great place to stay with Outsite. You can find more about each of our locations on our website. Regarding our locations in Mexico City, the first one we'll talk about is the Roma Sur location. It's a minimal lofty home in the Roma Sur neighborhood. It's contemporary, it's got neutral tones, natural light, beautiful design. It's quite sleek and minimalist. And here on the screen, you can see some pictures of the location. And Samantha, what strikes you the most about the Roma Sur location?
Yeah, for sure, the common areas. So the workspace is beautiful. You get natural light. It's full of plants. Yeah, the interior design is beautiful. Everyone gets there in the mornings to work together. So for sure, it's my favorite part. And also the courtyard is also very beautiful. To just if you want to drink a coffee on the terrace or something, it's like the best place.
I'm really excited. I haven't stayed at this location yet, but like I said, I'm going to Mexico City next week and I'll be staying at this location. I'm super, super excited. So we'll show the video tour now. And while it's playing, Samantha can describe what we're seeing.
Yeah, this is a main entrance. So if you book here, you get the access codes to go in. So it's very secure.
I'm just going to speed it up a little bit more because there's a lot to see in this video.
There you can see the common area. That's where I was talking about. The workspace, the living room. There we have the focus room. As you see, is super lighty. Standing desk, the lobby, the courtyard.
Oh, beautiful.
Full of plants. Yeah, the building is very nice. And so we have 2 towers. We are going right now to 8th tower. Here we have 18 studios, I believe. And we're going to show you one of them. We have elevators, of course. So this one is the first floor. This one is a bit different because we have like a shared space. As you see, the eating room and the living room and the kitchen, but each room has their own bathroom, desk, bed, closet, everything you may need for a long stay. And now we are going to Tower B. So back to the common area. And I will say each floor has a laundry room with the laundry and the dryer. So you can wash your clothes there, and that's very practical. So you need to cross the courtyard to go to Tower B. Also, we have elevator there.
Oh, I'm so excited to stay at this location. This is making me.
I love it.
Yeah.
Huge.
The courtyard.
Yeah, it's very huge, but you can feel the home feeling, with the community there. It's beautiful. So this is a kitchen. We have some supplies, instruments for cooking, the bed. As you can see, also the rooms have a beautiful light, natural light, the bathrooms. And yeah, that's it.
Excellent. It's really beautiful space. I'm very excited.
The neighborhood is also very nice. You can find everything in walking distance too.
That's awesome. And then the second location that we have is the one that I have already stayed in, Colonia San Miguel. It's a simple modern house. It's close to Condesa and also the park, Chapultepec. It's a much smaller of a location. There's 7 private rooms with private bathrooms. It's tucked onto a side street, and it has a beautiful like neoclassical French exterior. There are 4 floors. There's a full kitchen, a big workspace that we'll see in the video tour in just a moment. And then of course the incredible roof. I really loved this location. It feels very homey. It feels like you are, part of the neighborhood. It's really a lovely space. What do you like about this one, Samantha?
I love it. Yeah, I mean, it's a house. It's a bit different than a building, and this house feels more cozy for me. And the roof is, yeah, my favorite part of the house. Yes.
Mm-hmm. And there's also a great taco spot right down the road that's like a neighborhood favorite. I loved eating there. You're with there's a lot of Mexican families eating there, and you just really feel like part of the neighborhood.
Yes, as I told you, this neighborhood is more familiar and more quiet, so you can feel it.
Mm-hmm. All right,
Okay.
now we'll have the video tour.
So the house is located in a cluster. Yeah, this is the first floor. We have common bathrooms. And stairs. There's the living room where you can eat, watch a movie. Then we have a small patio there. It's also super nice. Normally we use it to give some yoga lessons, and it's beautiful to enjoy it. And now we are going into the co-working space. The light is also very beautiful in this house.
Yes, it is.
Small space also. And the kitchen, I think, is one of my favorite parts too. The kitchen is huge. And I love that everyone get together to just cook and have a snack or something. Like it's an important point of the house there. Now we're going upstairs to the rooms. So as Lindsay said, this house has 7 private rooms. And yeah, the roof. We have 2 rooms on the roof, and each bedroom has like the small table to just sit around on the terrace too, besides the big table. And as you can see, the house is surrounded by trees and green. Yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah, it's a really nice neighborhood. Like I said, it feels very cozy and homey, and I really felt at home. Both locations are lovely, of course, and I'm really looking forward to checking out the Roma Sur neighborhood. But I can highly recommend the Colonia San Miguel house. So now we have some time for Q&A with Samantha. I see that we have some questions, it looks like, in both the chat and the Q&A, so I'll give everyone a second to type up any questions that they have, and I think we'll have time for a few. So feel free to use either the chat or the Q&A box to enter in your questions. The first question I see in the Q&A box is about safety. How safe is Mexico City? Would it be generally safe to walk alone at night, or best to avoid it? I'll let Samantha answer this as a local, and then I'll give my my input as how I felt as a traveler.
Yes, it's super safe. I must say, I always walk around. I don't have a car, so I'm very used to just walk around everywhere. It doesn't matter the time. Normally, for example, I live in Condesa, that is in the middle of Roma Sur, where the building is, and San Miguel Chapultepec, where the house is. And everything around it's super safe to just walk around. Of course, you need to be aware, but as everywhere. And I have already 5 years living here and nothing happened to me. So I feel very safe when I'm walking. I just feel it.
I agree. As a solo female traveler, I am always concerned about safety. And I agree with Samantha. In both of the neighborhoods that Outsite is located in, I felt comfortable walking around by myself, even at night. If I was going a bit farther, I generally might opt to take an Uber if it was night and I was by myself. But for example, going out at night to get tacos at the neighborhood spot, or walking, from restaurant to bar in Roma and Condesa, I felt completely safe. Of course, as in any city, you need to take normal precautions and trust your instinct. But in general, I found it to feel quite safe in Mexico City. Let's see. Joey asked, about the Canary Islands location on the map. No, I'm sorry. That map is a little bit out of date. That location is unfortunately closed. Sorry about that. Doug asked, I saw what looked like rental bikes. How does that work? Samantha, do you want to tell us about EcoBC?
Yes. So there's an app called EcoBC, and you just need to download it and to pay. They have different deals. So, for example, 1 week is around 150 pesos. Also, they have per day, but I recommend you, if you're gonna stay for more than 2 weeks, just buy the monthly, not the year, and it's like 500 pesos. So it's super cheap and super practical. You just take the bike, you cycle, and then you leave it where you see like the stop stations. And normally you can find everywhere around Roma, Condesa, Centro, Juarez. So it's like very, very practical and super cheap.
Yes,
I
the
can
rental.
share the link for you.
Yes, I recommend downloading the app and using the bikes. They're really, really handy because Mexico City is such a huge city. Although you can walk many places, the bikes definitely increase your range to go check out some other places. The stations are all around, so it's really easy to find the stations and rent one and return it. It's called EcoBC or EcoBC, and Samantha will put the name in the chat. Abby asks, what are the high peak and low peak seasons to visit?
I would say it's a full year destination, but I recommend spring. So yeah, at the beginning of March, it's beautiful. You can see also like the jacarandas trees all over the city, so everything gets purple and it's beautiful. The weather is perfect. It's not too warm, not cold, so super nice to walk around. And also, yeah, October for the Dia de Muertos, it's one of my favorites. So I will say those two. But a low peak season, I don't believe we have. I think it's a full year season destination for me.
It is it is popular all year round, that's for sure. I've also been in the middle of winter. I was there for New Year's one year, so in December and January. And the weather is quite pleasant. You do need maybe a sweater or a light jacket at night, and it does cool down quite a bit. But during the day, it's still, pleasant to be outside. You can walk around. It's really a great city because of the altitude. It's quite temperate all year round. Frank asks if we can share a recording of the Zoom after. We will indeed have a recording posted, so you can go back and reference this video. Someone here asked if I stay at Colonia San Miguel, will I have access to the common space at Roma, sir? Unfortunately, no. The common spaces are for people with confirmed bookings only, the same way that people from Roma, sir, could not access the common area at Colonia San Miguel. I'm gonna check the chat here. Can you drop the name of the bike rental place? Yep. Lane, did you saw that? Oh, I think that we need to send it to everyone.
Yeah.
So I put that, yeah, no worries. Lane, I'll be there the second half of March. Cannot wait. Yes, it really is a really wonderful city. I keep going back time and time again for good reason. There's never a shortage of things to do. Rebecca is staying in Coyoacán in March, but next time Outsite, yes, definitely next time stay with us at Outsite. It's really great to have the kind of built-in community. For me as a solo traveler, I do love to be around other people who want to, work and get work done in the day, but also are really keen to explore the city and discover the culture of Mexico and other places where we have Outsite locations. I'm looking here at both the Q&A box and the chat so I can try to get to everyone's questions. Doug asks about the recording of the Zoom session. You said it will be posted. It will be posted on the hub, and I'll also put a link in. If you signed up on Eventbrite, you'll get a link to the recording. Rebecca asks if we can talk about Todos Santos. Are you asking about, Rebecca, Todos Santos, the day that is part of the Dia de los Muertos holiday, or the city that's in Baja called Todos Santos? Just to make sure. I'll let you write that in the chat while I look for some other questions here in the chat. Oh, an event in Mexico City. Samantha, are you familiar with Todos Santos? Coming up at the end of March?
I hear an event in Mexico City coming up end of March. I didn't hear about this event. Yeah, I just know Todos Santos, the city in Baja California. But I don't know if you are talking about like a small festival for Dia de Muertos, is Amaras. I'm not sure if you're talking about that, because Todos Santos ya is a city in Baja California, so in the north of the country.
Sorry about that, Rebecca. Semana Santa. Oh, no worries. Yeah, it is.
Okay.
The names can get confusing.
Semana Santa is actually almost happening. Yeah, in Mexico, that's like our break. And we have not very special events ongoing, but it's super nice to just go around the different beaches in the country. Yeah, it's like a great season to visit them. But not in Mexico City, I don't believe there's like something very special for Semana Santa.
Semana Santa is the week leading up to Easter, I believe. And it's typically a time where Mexicans will travel to either visit family or to go on vacation. So you would actually probably find more Semana Santa events happening outside of the city, like towards the beaches or in local towns. It is just a very, very popular time of year. So perhaps like buses or flights might be more expensive during that time. But I don't think it's quite a popular celebration in Mexico City. It's more popular for Mexicans to travel during Semana Santa for Easter.
Yeah, but it's also super nice to spend Semana Santa in Mexico City, because then less crowd, so you can enjoy it.
Mhm.
Recommend you just to stay here.
All right, and Abby asks, beyond the mentioned bikes and planned tours, what is it like venturing out using public transport, Uber, taxi, etc.? I can answer that from a tourist perspective, and then I'll let Samantha answer that from a local perspective. I found that I was easy to venture out to different areas using Uber and taxi. I also have gone on some weekend trips using the buses from Mexico City. My favorite is Tepoztlan, which is in the state of Morelos, about maybe an hour or so away from the city. It's a nice place to go for the weekend, and it's super easy to catch a bus and check out some different places outside of the city. And I also went on public transport to visit the cathedral. And I think during rush hour, it might be a little bit more difficult to use public transit, but at the time that I went, which was kind of at an off hour, I found it to be quite easy to use and easy to navigate. And there was actually some really interesting art in some of the metro stations, which made it a really cool experience. So Samantha, what do you think about venturing out a little bit further using public transportation or taxis?
Yeah, I think in Mexico City we have a really practical and functional transport system. Personal, I prefer just to walk or to use the bike. I think for me it's like the easiest and like it's so beautiful to just walk around in the city, so I prefer it. But if you don't have that time, you can perfectly use the metro, but take care like in which hours are you using it, because it can be a bit crowded. And also we have a Metrobus. Metrobus is like a bus that goes around the city, and that one is also very cheap and very practical. But you need to be aware about the times, because normally like in the working times since 8 in the morning and 6, 7 during the night, it's super crowded. So be careful with that.
Yeah, it is one of the most populous cities in the world. And there's a huge percentage of people who live in Mexico City who rely on the metro to go to work. So during rush hour, it is pretty crazy. So I would avoid using public transport during that time. But in the off hours, I found it to be quite easy to navigate and easy to use. Doug is wondering if he wants to book a tour of, for example, the historic district. Do you have any recommendations for tours?
I recommend just to Google pre-walking tour. There are so many companies that does them, and those are really great, super complete. The information is just the right one, and you just need to tip the guide. So it's for me, it's the best option, and it can take around 2-3 hours. So that's my recommendation: free walking tours in downtown.
Yes, I always love whenever I get to a new city, I try to book one of the free walking tours pretty much right away to help me get a bearing of the city. They're a really, really great way to kind of get a lay of the land and really get some good history. And then, of course, if you had any other specific tours, like if you wanted to book to go to Xochimilco or to the pyramids, Samantha can help arrange that. And then Joey asks, how do you recommend getting from San Miguel de Allende to Mexico City? Samantha might know better, but I imagine there's probably a bus. The bus system in Mexico is surprisingly really great. As a person who has lived in the United States for most of my life, I was very pleasantly surprised by how easy it was to use the bus to get around Mexico. Samantha, do you know if there's a direct bus from San Miguel de Allende to Mexico City?
Yes, there is. So we have like the principal bus station. It's called Central del Norte in Mexico City. and there's a bunch of companies that goes everywhere around the country. And for sure you can find one direct to San Miguel de Allende. It's gonna take about 4 or 5 hours, and it's not that expensive. It's going to cost around 500 pesos one way, and yeah, it's like the easiest way to go there.
Yeah, I definitely was pleasantly surprised by the ease of bus transportation, specifically in kind of southern Mexico. I think the ADO or ADO buses run mostly in southern Mexico, but if you have the chance to book that company, they're actually quite comfortable and it's quite a pleasant experience. I even took an overnight bus, like 12 hours from San Cristobal de las Casas in Chiapas to Oaxaca City. It took like 12 hours overnight, but it was surprisingly comfortable. So definitely a bus is a really good option to get from San Miguel de Allende to Mexico City.
Yeah,
You're
and the good
welcome.
thing is that Mexico City, it's super good located. So it's like in the middle of everything, and the connections are amazing. So it's very easy to travel from here.
Yes, it is a perfect place, obviously, because it's such a big city and there's a lot of people traveling in and out of it. You can get to so many different places from Mexico City, whether you're coming from somewhere and staying in Mexico City or heading off to somewhere else or just wanting to take a day trip or a weekend trip or anything like that. The buses are pretty nice, especially compared to what I'm used to in the United States. So we have about 3 more minutes. I think that's all of the questions in the Q&A. I'm gonna just check here the chat for any last minute questions. I would be happy to answer them, and I think Samantha would be as well. Just for a reminder for those of you that I haven't had the chance to speak with yet, I'm Lindsay. I'm head of community and events at Outsite. Outsite offers co-living spaces, community and events for remote workers, digital nomads, entrepreneurs, creatives, freelancers, and the like. We would love to have you come stay with us in Mexico City. It's an incredible city to travel in and to work in. So I hope that you found this information useful. And please don't feel hesitant to either reach out to myself or Samantha on the hub if you're an Outsite member, or to me by replying to the Eventbrite emails if you have any questions or think of anything after this call. I wanted to thank Samantha for joining us today. It's so nice to have a local perspective. Again, one of the great resources that you have as an Outsite member is our local community managers. So Samantha, thank you for being on this call with me today and sharing your knowledge with us. Anything you want to add before we end?
No, thank you everyone for being here. Thank you, Lindsay, for inviting me. I'm very happy to share all my Mexico City knowledge to all of you. And yeah, if you have like any specific question or do you want recommendations, anything, I'm here to help you. I believe they have already my WhatsApp number, if they can find it, or okay. So yeah, feel free just to text me and I'll be available for you. Muchas gracias.
All right, everyone. Have a great day.
Bye-bye.
Bye.